25 months ago, or 2 years and 1 month ago, I decided to start investing $5 every single day into the stock market, and then another $5 a day into the crypto market. And for the last 25 months, I'm going to share with you my results. Now, the reason I started this, if you're new to the channel, is I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't have a lot of money. And I knew I needed to invest, but everybody always talks about investing $10,000 to get started. What if I only have like $5 left over at the end of each day to put in, which equals about $155 a month? Let's see what happens over the period of time. But this video, my friends, is gonna be a little bit different than the past update videos, and here's why. I got this excellent comment right here from Evil Termite. In my last video, I showed the gains of my portfolio, which is good, but I think it would be impactful to show a graph over time of how much is in the account because of just saving $5 a day without any interest or investment gains. So basically, let's do a deep dive, and that's what we're doing in today's video. I haven't done that before. We're gonna look back all the way to January of 2022, every single month thereafter, all the way up to January 31st, 2024. But first, let me give you the update, and then we'll dive into that good stuff. Now, this video was recorded on February the 5th, so this is actually a great day that I'm recording because Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve just put out some news that made the market get a little bit funny. I don't care about the day-to-day market trend, but it is interesting because this does show a little bit of a dip that we had today. And I like to show that realism because you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but I'm happy to say that my $5 a day is actually still doing pretty well. My very first investment into the stock market was the S&P 500, right now going for $453 as of recording this video. The S&P 500 represents the top 500 companies weighted by market cap in America, right? So if you think about 500 companies is what I'm investing in. A percentage of my $5 is split across all those 500 companies. And the best part about it is I'm not putting all my eggs into one basket by investing in only one single stock. Because if you invest in a single stock and you think it's a great company, then all of a sudden you look at like General Electric, you look at Circuit City, you look at things like that. Well, that's why I do this. In fact, you can check out the video ETFs versus stocks if you want to learn more about how those single stocks can truly impact your portfolio. I'll include a link in the description below. But here we go. Now I've built up to 10 shares over the last 2 years. Very happy about that, as you can see right here, meaning that my total value with everything that I put in, that $5 a day plus the investment gains, equals a total of $4,566.47. That means my total return, which means everything I put in, this is how much the stock market gave back to me, 17.69%, which is $686.25 as of the recording of this video. So think about it this way. I mean, give me $5 a day for the next 2 years and I'll return you 17%. That's amazing. That's what the stock market can do sometimes. Sometimes it can go the opposite direction, which we'll see in just a moment. Now, $5 a day is where you should start, but I recommend that eventually you find ways to make more money, lower your expenses, and invest more money. Because think about 17%, you can apply that 17% to any figure. Let's say I was investing $500 a day. All I would have to do is look at my overall investment, my average cost of VOO, multiply that by 17% to see what I would have gotten in that case. So obviously, the more money you put in, the more return you could get. But because we started small and we keep small in this particular challenge that we're doing here, that's why it's only $684 right now. Anyway, that's VOO. Then I got clever and I thought, everybody talks about crypto. Everybody talks about Bitcoin, but I want to be a rebel and not do Bitcoin. I'm going to do Ethereum. So I decided to do another $5 a day. So yes, I invest $10 a day, but I do the other $5 a day into Ethereum. Let's take a look at how that's going. Ethereum's expensive at $2,288 right now. As of the recording of this video, we're going to scroll down here and see the results. 2.113385. Over the last 2 years, I was able to build up to 2 whole Ethereum, which I'm super excited about. Now let's take a look here at the value at $4,836. And the total return is a whopping $1,121, representing a 30% improvement on the money that I put in. Absolutely phenomenal. And I didn't know what was going to happen, but I'm going to keep this going. I have started this back in January 2022, and I'm just going to keep it going. Let's see what happens in 10 years. We'll come back with another video, of course, and we'll talk about it and say, okay, here we are 10 years later. Are we looking good, or are we regretting that we did this? Well, time will tell. Now, before I break down all the good details here in just a moment, as per the comment that we got on the last video, what if you want to start this? I want to make sure that I actually give you the step-by-step. There's a total of 4 steps that you should take in order to start your $5 a day investment challenge, and let's go through them. Step number 1, decide on stocks or crypto. Now, if you're going to do stocks, think about, are you doing an ETF? Are you doing something like a VOO? Are you going to do the total stock market like a VTI? It's up to you what you select. Just do your own research, figure out what you like best. Or if you want to do crypto, think about what crypto coin you want to invest $5 a day into. None of this is financial advice. You got to do your own research. Step number 2, set up an automatic investment plan with your favorite brokerage. Whatever investment app you want to use. I'm not going to sit here and say one's better than the other. I started with Robinhood. That's just what I'm going to keep doing, even though I probably would use Webull by now because Webull offers me, without having to pay extra, 5% APY on my uninvested cash. So I get interest on uninvested cash with Webull. But because the stock market is not open every single day of the year because of holidays and weekends, you got to do a quick little bit of math if you choose to do stocks. Here's what you want to do. Take $5 a day and multiply that by 365 days a year, or if it's a leap year, $366. That will equal $1,825 or $1,830 if it's a leap year. Then what you want to do, hop over to Google. And you're going to want to type in how many trading days are left in the year that you're in. So right now we'd say how many trading days left in 2024, or if it's at the beginning of the year, how many total trading days are there in 2024. You then take that $1,825 and you divide it by the amount of trading days. That is what you're going to want to set up as your automatic investment, because that way you don't have to worry about making up for the weekends, making up for the holidays. It'll just automatically invest a little bit more than $5 a day. I think it comes down to about $7.30 or something like that. But that way you're covered for the weekend and the holidays, and you're technically investing $5 a day. Step number 3, and this is just a good, I think, tip. Transfer about $155 to $200 into your favorite investment app every single month. The reason you want to do that is because you'll transfer that money in from your bank account, and then it'll just sit there, and then the automatic investment program will take away from that money every single day. I think that's a lot better than having it linked to your checking account, and every day it's going to pull money out of your checking account, because at the end of the month, then you got to reconcile all that, and to me, that feels like a complete headache. So $155 to $200 will get you covered for the month, and then just do that every single month from here on out. Step number 4, this is the best step. Sit back, relax, and don't worry about it. Pretend that money doesn't even exist. Do your thing about transferring the money in, of course, but who cares? Now, we're going to look at it in 10, 20 years from now. That's magic. So now let's move on to this comment, and I'm going to show you an Excel spreadsheet. I actually went through the painstaking process of pulling up all my old statements, looking at what happened, doing some theoretical stuff, and putting this all together for you. Let's hop to the screen. This Excel document will be fully uploaded and available to all my Patreon members. Thank you for your support. Link down in the description below if you want to check out this and plug it in for yourself. But what I did, and what I'm going to continue to do now that I'm on this trend, is every month I'm going to update this document and also upload this consistently to Patreon. But starting January 2022, what I did is I looked at my total shares bought, my average cost on a monthly basis, my running shares, which means I'm looking at how many shares I bought from the previous month and adding it to my balance, and then also the total invested. Now, this is per the question that was asked. How much money am I actually investing on this $5 a day? And we're going to balloon that up over time to see how much money I put in, as well as how much money I got returned to me through the stock market growth. Now, I'm not going to do crypto for this particular video. We're going to focus on VOO specifically, and then we'll go from there. So let's start with January 2022, and then I'm going to move a little bit quicker here in just a second. But total shares bought right from the start. January 2nd was the very first day of the stock market opening in January 2022. And then all throughout that month, I bought a total of 0.37 shares. Because remember, $5 is not going to afford you an entire share of VOO. But I racked up 0.37. The average cost, which means throughout that entire month, my average cost was $419 a share. So there's going to be some days that I'm buying $5 a day, and maybe that price is higher than $419, and then there's going to be some days where it's lower than that. That's why that's the average. My running shares, of course, are 0.37 because I haven't done this before. This is the very first month. My total invested was $155. That's $5 a day times 31 days in the month. And my value at the month end was $152.64, which, check this out. In the very first month of January, I was down 1.53% or $2.36. So I put in $155, and I'm already down on my money. And see, I think a lot of people would quit at this point, so I'm kind of glad that this guy recommended that we do this. So thank you, Mr. Termite, for this suggestion. But anyway, so we're down there. Now let's hop to February 2022. Now, remember, if you're not familiar with the stock market, in 2022 was bad. All we had were a bunch of rate hikes. All we had was a bunch of the stock market going down, down, down all year long. So this story gets even worse as we move along. But you can see that next month, 0.34, my average cost was $406. So you can see, obviously, from 419 to 406, the stock market starts going down. So my running shares are now at 0.71. Haven't built up a full share yet, but that's okay. But I did invest a total of $295. My value at the month end was $284. So I've lost now $10.57 or negative 3.58%. And again, at this point, I think people would think I'm kind of dumb. Why are you getting into this? You're just losing money. What's the point? Let me skip ahead here. And I want to point out all the way down here to the wonderful month of September 2022. I bought another 0.42 shares. Now, 0.42 compared to what I was buying at 0.37 is because the stock market is lower. Look at my average cost, $354.37. VOO was down from its high of $419 at the beginning of the year. So if I were to put all my money in on the very first month at an average cost of $419, I'd be down even more than I was at this point. But the kicker is I now have a total of 3.65 shares. That's exciting. I invested $1,395 so far. Okay, that's my hard-earned money going in, and the value is now at $1,198. I lost $195.97 or 14.05% at the end of September 2022. Now just picture me doing a video in September 2022 because I didn't at that point. My very first video was actually January 2023, and I reflected back on that previous year. I was doing this without telling anybody on YouTube back here in 22. But imagine if I did that in September, how much people would be like, what are you doing? What's the point of this? Why would you do it? Oh, you should start this challenge with me. I lost $195. What a clown. Here comes the world of the rest of the year, and you can see it's just a continued sad story, down 82.27. And remember, this is the running balance here where it says growth or loss. This doesn't mean I'm losing 100 and then the next month I'm losing 82 and then the next month I'm losing 27. That's the running growth or loss, right? So, right now, if you look at December 2022, I've lost a total of $113. It's not 113 plus 27 plus 82. Just so you're clear on that, because I think that might be confusing if you're adding all those numbers up. That's a running balance. So I'm down now at the end of the year, $113 or 6.11%. Then we move along here, and it's funny because then January 2023 comes along, and that's when I actually do my very first $5 a day video. But I'm now up to 5.42 shares, and actually only down at the end of that month, $1.67. So things are getting better now. And this is where things start to improve. Because I invested through the pain and agony of 2022, 2023 paints a little bit of a different picture. You can see here, if I uncover all of this, now we're looking at positive. My growth here in this column right here is growing up. Look at that, 329, I'm up 11% back here in July of 2023. That's pretty sweet. Then I drop a little bit down to 206, then dropped here pretty badly in October. Now I'm negative again at $28. And then at the end of January 2024, I'm up $629 or 16.3%. I'm looking pretty sweet right now. But remember, I built up 10 shares over all of these months previously. I've been dollar cost averaging. And now look at my cash dividend of $17.13. That is awesome. Again, building up more shares, meaning you get more dividends every quarter. I do want to address this month right here, as well as all this kind of weirdness that happened here in March, April, and May. So what happened was we had the SVB bank collapse. I got spooked. And I got afraid because I knew Robinhood had money tied up in the bank that collapsed. And I'm like, are we going to be screwed? Now, I know the SIPC will protect us as investors. It's not like I'm going to lose my money, but maybe I should start my $5 a day somewhere else. So I took a pause there in April. I kind of wish I didn't, and I just trusted myself because here we are, everything's fine. But that's why that is grayed down and why all of a sudden I bought an entire share and spent a lot more money here in this month thereafter in May, because I was catching up for all that loss that happened when I paused my $5 a day challenge. But that's why that is grayed out. Now, the comment asked about a graph. So here's your graph. So you can see what we're looking at, and it's kind of cool because the growth loss kind of just goes down. And of course, this is back when I was talking to you about in September of 2022, but then look what happens over the period of time. Now, I anticipate this graph will continue to be a roller coaster because that's the nature of the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. But the theory is, as per the last 100 years of the stock market, your lows are last year's highs and your highs are last year's lows. It kind of keeps going up. So even though we might have a crash, theoretically, it may not crash down to where I'm in the negative again because I continue to build up time. As I always say, it's about time in the market, not timing the market. And that is a great example right there on this particular graph. The other question is going to be, what happens if you are stuck with maybe you have to invest one time a month or you decide to. Now, the tricky thing about investing one time a month is you have to make a decision. Do you invest on the worst day of that month or do you just randomly invest on the last day of the month, the first day of the month? The problem with trying to calculate that all depends on what day you select to invest your money in. It's kind of easy to look at every single day because it's every single day and we have data to prove that out. But because some people may invest in different times of the month, that's a little bit more tricky. But what would have happened if I would have invested just one time a month instead of $5 a day? Would my average cost be different? And would my growth be different? And the answer to that is yes. I would actually have lost a little over $100 if I would have only invested one time a month versus every single day. Now, I know some people, especially if you live outside the United States, you don't have that luxury of commission-free trades. So you kind of only have to invest one time a month. Otherwise, you're going to be completely eaten apart by fees. Totally understand that. But if you're interested in that, what I'm going to do is have an exclusive extended video where I'm going to take this particular Excel document, and we're going to add 4 different columns in the green here that looks at what the cost would be and what your growth would be if you invested at every single end of the month. We're also going to look at what my Ethereum looks like holistically by month as well in another exclusive video only on Patreon. If you want to join me for all of that exclusive content, the link is in the description below. Let me know how your $5 a day challenge is going. We're all going to be different because we all started at a different time. Some may have started before me. Some are maybe investing more than $5 a day. And some of you might have just started. So let's have a conversation in the comments below. But hey, while you're here, you got to make sure you check out this video next. And we'll see you on the next video.